In the art world, we're all familiar with the dilemma, whether you should create for the heart and from the heart, or should you create for the market. You are probably familiar with a situation where you have just finished a piece that feels exceptionally personal and meaningful. So you post it online, you're waiting for those reactions to hit, but then the engagement is, well, from little to zero. And then you create something safe, something commercial, which gets lots of attention. And then, of course, you're questioning, should you create what you love, or should you create what is expected from you? So in this video, we'll talk about why it is dangerous to blindly follow the trends, but at the same time, why it is important to understand the market and how to find the balance in all that. And if you want a deeper take on the question of the artistic style, how to find it, and what are the real experiences there, follow this link to watch our conversation with Tanya Rios. By the way, if you have any topics, any questions, any issues that you want us to talk about, then make sure to comment them below so we keep making videos that are useful. To begin with, let's articulate the struggle, because every artist faces the same kind of problem at the same point. If you focus too much only on what sells, then you might lose the excitement of creating. But if you ignore the market completely, so you ignore the trends, just generally what is happening at the market, you may struggle, well, financially, because if art is one of your income sources, well, I guess you still want it to be profitable. So we come to this dilemma once again, the fear of being pigeonholed into a style that sells, and the fear of being in need of money because there is no commercial style at all. Why chasing trends can be dangerous? The most obvious reason here is that trends change fast, especially nowadays, where every year in fashion, for example, every season, there is something new. So what sells today might not sell tomorrow. So you will become a prisoner of this machine where you need to produce again and again and again something new because the trend has changed. Second one here is that creating only for sales can lead, well, to burnout and creative work, because if you're focusing only exclusively on the commercial part, then where does the inspirational part and the beautiful creative part goes to? And the third one is that your audience might then sense when your work stops clicking with them. They might sense when the work stops being authentic, because the more we try to make it commercial, and there is a trap in that, the less authentic it might seem. You are a winner if you can combine those two things, if what you love doing is 100% commercial. But if that's not there, and that's quite often the case, then there is a struggle with that. But at the same time, if you're viewing your artistic journey as a career, then the ignorance of the market might hurt, because art is a conversation. So understanding your audience and understanding the context that you're living in, because you don't exist in a vacuum, helps your work become resonating. And even great artists throughout the history adapted their works to survive. Because yes, sometimes it's about survival. As we have established before, if art is one of the income sources, then you want it to be profitable. But what is profitable? Well, what sells? That's a simple answer there. So yes, sometimes if you struggle financially, you need to resolve the conflict of whether you do want and whether you can actually adapt. And it's important to understand here that finding buyers doesn't mean selling out. It means reaching people who value what you do. And yes, it's easier to do that when you at least slightly, a little bit, understand where you are on this market map. So then logically we come to the question of, can that be resolved? Is there a balance to that? Well, there is a balance that can be found. First of all, identify what excites you and attracts audience, because believe me, there are things that are in the cross section of that you can find. They do often overlap. But in order to find that, you need to experiment. So try new ideas, try to engage new elements that connect both with you and with the audience. So here we're going to the point number one. Build a personal brand. And I know some people, a lot of people actually hate that phrase, the personal brand. Like that sounds too commercial. But the truth here is that every person in their lives, personal, work life, generally, we do already have personal brands. So it makes sense to enhance that in order for other people to understand what you're about and to connect with your story. So yes, building a personal brand definitely helps. And also, by the way, helps for you to then be less influenced by the market, because then you become the market influencer. And diversify. Sometimes when you stick to just one thing for years, and especially if you see that there is no financial results coming from that, diversify. So have a mix of personal project, the ones that will excite you the most, and some market friendly work. This keeps you balanced. So what is the key takeaway here? That market and passion don't have to be enemies. They can coexist. And yes, I'm saying this from a perspective of a marketing specialist, but I know what I'm talking about because, well, my sister is an artist. So we've had that conversation for years. And from that, I know that there are ways how you can find that balance. Your art should move you first because you're making that for you. It's very hard to create only for other people, but also speak to others. Don't try to create specifically for them, but at least try to coexist with them as well. So yes, create with a heart, but don't create in isolation. Comment below where you are in this struggle and follow us for more tips on how to survive the demo market.